Architecture has always been a big influence in my work, so I like to think of music as kind of liquid architecture. People know me from the 90s from DJing, but I was always first and foremost an artist. Tonight is a conversation between all of those: architecture, design, and composition.
About 18 months ago, I invited Paul Miller to explore the idea of a year-long residency here at the Met, and together we came up with a residency that involved both performance as well as activities with different constituencies and audiences.
All the compositions are inspired by the physics of ice. There's a kind of layering and repetition in the geometry of ice, which is what you're hearing in the sounds. What they did was try to figure out some ways to look at packaging and other things that kind of compress and expand and structure. It's based on recycling material.
We were kind of riffing on ideas about ice and the kind of crystalline forms and the kind of geometries of that, and there's similar geometries in music, and then colliding them together in a project that represents all of those things in kind of one embodied form.
I wrote a book about the whole project called The Book of Ice. You have to have this idea sometimes of how landscape can be narrative. I took a studio to Antarctica, and I also went to near the North Pole. The idea is that mathematics and music are almost just the same thing. We now live in the era of code as culture. The compositions are all about loops and layers, and what they call in science recursion, recursive logic.
The Met is in a period of time in its history right now where it's experiencing a lot of change. I felt that it's important to give living artists a way to interact with a museum.
At the end of the day, this whole idea of composition and landscape, composition and digital media is about convergent media. It's never been just music. It's about music in relationship to ideas and art.